What's good, everybody? It's your boy J Skills Phantom Man. Right now, I got a fucking powerful video for you today talking about why it's easier to attack and accuse others than to work on yourself. Because attacking and accusing others actually just comes from people not dealing with their own internal demons sufficiently, so they lack the ability to create balance and equilibrium. And their feelings, usually low vibrational and manipulated by their desires and shit like that, usually control and run their life for them. So, people go into extremes for their desires and their feelings and shit like that. That's just subjective to them, that actually lack objectivity, and it actually puts them in foolish situations and circumstances just because of a lack of ability to observe oneself and actually just create balance from within and stuff like that, right? Because there could be different things that create insecurities in a person's life. But here's the thing about insecurities, right? The more you take an insecurity and expose it to what? The external world, be more objective about it, actually go do whatever it is that you're insecure about and shit like that. It could be just something as simple as, singing in the middle of the street. I know I have some people that want to sing, for example, let's say, but they're not really willing to expose themselves to a crowd to sing too, but they rather just do it in private, which there's nothing really wrong with. It's just that a lot of the times, like when we don't expose our insecurities, we start to, manipulate for these things, try to deceive for these things, make these things seem like not what they are. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. So yeah, I got a bunch of shit written down. I'm just gonna get into it and stuff like that. So anytime people attack and accuse you, it usually comes from a desire that they want to get. A bad desire or passion has to do with the external world. Sometimes, if that craving is not satisfied, a person may become subconsciously angry and frustrated and take that out on others in the form of hate, based upon what they subjectively believe in. Now, here's the thing, right? If a person is actually passionate about their work and shit like that, about what they love and shit like that, that's like a little different, because that's like going into extremes for that, right? Like I say, you're a singer, but you're very passionate about it, so you go hard. You're in the studio 6-7 hours a day. Whatever it is that you do, you're just going hard at it. You're very passionate, very aggressive about that. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like if it becomes like too external based, it starts to create and if you actually lack the ability to create internal balance and equilibrium, because there's only very few spirits that can actually do that, go to war with the world while keeping their internal state of being at balance and shit like that. That's like another video. That's not what we're talking about right now. Right now, we're just talking about like the everyday low vibrational human that basically get stuck in their desire and want everybody and their feelings, and they want to manipulate and deceive people and have people cater to that, to their own subjectivity, not understanding that we live in a reality where everyone has their own form of subjectivity and their own form of objectivity. So they start to create all these anger and frustration issues and start to accuse you and attack you and create all sorts of negative thought forms about you, which if you're like the powerful magician, you understand that negative and positive energy can be used for you, not against you, because any attention is just a form of energy. So even when a person throws negative energies at you and shit like that, you can just take that and transmute it. As long as you actually going about your goal, going your purpose, that will be bound to be used as fuel for you. And that's like some shit like even like the high level magicians like do on purpose to get more energy and shit like that. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the goddamn everyday low vibrational human, man. That's what we're talking about. I should really learn to stick to this subject, man, for real. Yeah. So yeah, a bad desire or a passion has to do with the external world. Sometimes if that craving is not satisfied, a person may become subconsciously angry and frustrated and take that out on others in the form of hate, just based upon what they subjectively believe in and shit like that, right? Now, the more expanded, the more aware a spirit is, that plays out a little differently. But let's talk about humans that are limited into their subjective, contracted state of beings that keep them in their own small world and shit like that, and they're unable to go and talk to someone that has an opposing, different point of view, right? So, for example, right, let's say the external person, place, or thing don't cater or match what another spirit chose to believe in or just do with their time and energy, right? For example, like vegans and meat eaters, like both of them have their own bias. And usually these types go to war with each other because they feel or desire to convince you that they are right about that bias. Someone who's actually objective would consider the value and benefit of both, because they're not a part of a legion, meaning they're not sold out to like one side or the other. They're actually able to be objective. Because here's the thing about legions, like let's say Republicans and Democrats, these are legions, conservatives and liberals, whatever political parties, these are legions. Like, you gotta understand that all these are different sides of the puzzle and shit like that. And these are all different starting points that you can build on to build, a government and shit like that. But when a person is sold out to one side, let's say for example, like, I used to be a Muslim, right? Where I was sold out to Islam because it was the first thing that I was introduced to as a form of system to cater to my bias, cater to some insecurities and shit like that, right? If I'm not able to consider a Christian's point of view, because here's the thing, all these texts are esoteric in nature. It's not some exoteric shit. Religious people get lost in it because they make it some exoteric shit, right? If you are a religious person and you're unable to like consider another religion's point of view, and why would someone come up with the terminologies and the anthropomorphizations and what they're actually pointing at, then you're just as biased, just as demonic, just as devilish. Because like, it's something subjective about how they feel and what that religion does for their desire. Because a lot of these religions work as like some type of insecurity sheltering systems and shit. Like that's what, for the most part, like Islam really just about learning. Hey, tell a bitch to shut the fuck up, drop your dick on her. She don't gotta say much. She better not say much because you're gonna tell her about shit. Surah number 34, verse number 35. Here, bitch, shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down. That's what I'm talking about. Because a lot of these religions is used for insecurity, so they become like devils, really good at being devils, but it's really just for their own de-evolved state of being that they don't really want to check on and shit like that. But it's become a part of a legion where people usually like others that cater to their point of view. That's not objective or logical. What that shows is someone who's stuck in their feelings about reality versus if they honestly question why do others irritate and trigger the way that they feel, right? Because one thing I don't understand is like people don't question why do some people trigger and irritate them in a certain way. Because like you probably should check why do you even feel a certain way, because nobody should be able to trigger you. Like, for example, my boy Master 33 was talking about on yesterday's show, where Bruce Lee would fight people and shit like that, right? And Bruce Lee would never fight anyone angry. He would kind of like let you be angry or some shit like that. But see, that if a person can harness their anger, their passion, their aggression, they're gonna make a move that is off balance and coordinated, and you're gonna be able to like knock them out and shit like that, right? So it's kind of like that a little bit. So basically, and you'll probably find out that it's because like let's say for example in a fight, you want to prove to someone that they're superior, you're superior to them, right? I'm gonna fight this person, yo. I'm gonna prove to them that I'm superior to them, yo. I'm gonna knock them the fuck out. But see, that feeling itself of superiority is not a feeling of balance. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with seeing yourself or feeling yourself or looking at yourself from highly esteemed. You know what I'm saying? Looking at yourself really well. That's like having a healthy self-image and shit like that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but when a person get out of their equilibrium, get out of their balance, get out of their center of gravity, it's easier to tempt them, entice them into actions and behaviors that are not really balanced and shit like that. So it's easier for them to get like flunked out and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because a person might actually desire to prove to you that they're better than you, and they will do anything to do that type shit. And it's like if they just ask themselves, what are they insecure about? And why are they going so out of their way to prove something to you type shit, right? Especially if it's like they're all up in, like me, I'm in my own space right now. I'm just here on my YouTube channel talking, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? But some people will literally go knock on your door, go to war with you type shit. Now, I talked about it earlier. There's like a righteous version of war and shit like that, right? And then there's like a negative, low vibrational version of war and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But really, war is just something that you're supposed to go at with yourself. Like you're supposed to go to war with you. You're supposed to go to war with yourself, with your own desires, with your own feelings, with your own thoughts. Because that's what Jesus thought. Jesus thought people had to go to war with themselves, not the external world. Because it wasn't really the external world that was the issue. When we all came to this world, we started to look at each other like, oh, you're the issue. Oh, you must be the problem. Oh, I got to take you down. Oh, I got to fight you. And that's what started this whole big-ass Russellmania bullshit. And then the person that actually became the wisest and gained the most wisdom was actually the one that was able to kind of eclipse all that, because like you gotta really see through all the smoke and the mirrors type shit that people like present and throw out there and shit. You know what I'm saying? And you're probably gonna find out, like a religious person, you're just gonna find out they're in that religion for an insecurity. Like you're gonna find out that feminist probably has an insecurity. You're gonna find out that that alpha masculine dude probably has some type of insecurity. That's all you're going to learn, because there's no way you would be sold out to a camp, to a legion, if you didn't like other people that cater to that point of view based upon whatever subjective feelings you both subjectively subscribe to. Like, let's say alpha males be like, oh yeah, we should control, we should run, I bet you shut the fuck up, she shouldn't say nothing, that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Feminists will tell you, yeah man, these niggas, they ain't shit, and you know, women, we built the world. Is that actually the objective? Because last time I checked, we need both men and women to build the world. Like, if women weren't here, there would be no men. If men wasn't here, the women would not be protected and you know, and shit like that, and like, you know, served in a sense. But we have like a very retarded way of like doing that down here. Because that's why I don't fuck with no religion, and that's why I never liked Islam, because I saw what it was being used for. Now the Quran itself, whoo, esoteric book, hard as fuck. Shout out to Muhammad, real G. Now depending on what Muhammad we're talking about, that's another story for another time. But you know, shout out to Muhammad, great fucking book. But see, it's like, if Muslims have such a great book with them, yet they still act foolish, that lets you know it's not about the book. They'll use the book for their own desire, based upon how they subjectively feel, and use the logic in it to manipulate and use the logic to manipulate, because like that's what they do basically. Like I said earlier, oh bitch, verse number 5, surah number 23, you better bend over right now. And that's it. That's all it's really being used for. You know what I'm saying? It's a great book, man. I love it. But it's like, and it's crazy because it's literally talking about the mistakes that people were making to even be retarded in the first place. But people still want to be retarded. So it's like, humanity, baby. Humanity. What are you going to do? Oh my God. But let me just get over this and finish, man. I'm about to trigger somebody right there. I don't know. But yeah, you can give me all that energy. I don't even care. You'll probably find out that it's a low vibrational feeling, water, that they're not making sense out of logically, and probably stems from an insecurity and lack of ability to be rational and objective based upon whatever desire they are being ran and manipulated by. And there's a lot of these things. You got lust, you got wrath, you got greed, man. Woo, yeah, ooh, wow. You got a bunch of them motherfuckers out there, for real. And I ain't saying they bad either. You know what I'm saying? If you know what you're doing, you know, you can even harness that realm if you want to. But shit, I mean, shit, don't shit. I ain't saying nothing in fact. But yeah, basically, people that manipulate and deceive for their subjectivity themselves are manipulated and deceived. So because someone has power over them, really, in the esoteric subconscious realm. So in the objective realm, they feel a desire to do it to you because they really want some external person to have power over, because that's how they feel superior, that's how they feel good about themselves. But that's exactly what makes them devilish, you know, because they need an external world to do that with, like people, places, and things to manipulate, deceive, blah, blah, that type of shit, like some Asmodeus type of shit, you know what I'm saying? Instead of them just learning to have power and control within themselves over their own thoughts, over their own feelings, over their own desires, which will actually make you more wiser in the long run, because you will no longer be flunked out by your own feelings or other people's feelings, by your desires or other people's desires. You'll be able to see that shit a mile away, and based upon you having balance and internal equilibrium, you're not going to be going into these extremes in the external world, because you understand that, like, why you're doing it in the first, like the root reason, the root cause. And when you deal with the root cause, the root reason, then you're able to just, okay, look at life and reality much more clearly from a much more balanced point of view type shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I'm gonna just read this last part, and I think that's it. People that manipulate and deceive for their subjectivity themselves are manipulated and deceived. So now they feel the desire to do it to you because they really want some external person to have power over, and that's what makes them devilish. Instead of actually being wise and learning to have internal equilibrium and balance, And that lack of ability to have internal balance puts them in foolish circumstances and situations where they go into extremes trying to get their desires and feelings created. So it's like a person idea and feeling that they constantly bring together that they're stuck in. You know, it put them in certain desires and passions, and when you get to like the sixth dimension type shit, they kind of wise and foolish with that desire and shit. So in reality, you play out like a lot of retarded shit is going on. So, you know, do what you do with that. You know I personally needed to hear that and shit, because I'm really doing the shadow work on myself. So, you know, as long as we all do the work on ourselves, we can all continuously evolve, and we can live in a much more beautiful community. Because, you know, if you don't create your own community of like-minded individuals, you know, through actually conscious effort, you're gonna find yourself amongst a community that's created for you, that's marketed to you, and shit like that. So, you know, and again, that's just that. With that being said, everybody, peace out. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Have a beautiful motherfucking weekend wherever you may be. Peace.